I'm going Pickard because I think right now you need that jump, you need that belief, you need that energy that you carried over from the end of Game 4. I think you need to carry into Game 5. So if I had a vote in the room, I would be putting my hat in the ring for Calvin Pickard.
You got to follow and subscribe to the Inside the Coaches Room YouTube channel, and obviously everywhere you can find him on social media. His name is Steve Peters. He is a longtime video coach of the Arizona Coyotes. Nobody, I mean nobody, can analyze this beautiful sport like Petey. Petey, hi.
Hi. First of all, can you hear me? Because I'm in a hotel room and I'm so comfortable in my home studio. I just want to make sure, Sean, I'm good. Can we hear me? Everything's fine.
Yes. What's the sign behind you though? It
says it's Catapult Hockey Analysis. It's data. It's video nerds. I'm in Toronto at a video coaches conference with a bunch of nerds, which I am a part of.
Just like you and Megan Chaika, just like crunching numbers.
100% video nerds from juniors, college, and the NHL. So it's been a lot of fun here in Toronto.
Nice glasses.
Yeah, four eyes. What kind of parties you got at that conference? Because like at band camp, the kids go crazy.
Everyone's fucking at
like
this
the nerds
convention.
Fuck. So what kind of parties you got going on?
These nerds know how to go because they don't. They're I mean, it is a nerd party and a nerd convention. I actually went home and after the game and worked, but these guys, 2:30 in the morning, they're out at the Loose Moose right on York, and they're a little late last night. These fellas, so you got to watch those video guys, man. They can be trouble. Sneaky good. Those
the only folks getting laid after that one because people are going to be pregnant based on all of the sex that's being had at this convention, I guess is what I'm saying to you, Petey. Sure. I'm just going to open it completely. What did you see last night?
This one's funny because after the Game 3 that was so poor for the Edmonton Oilers and did the shenanigans on the third period, I wasn't a big fan of it. I wasn't impressed with the way the Oilers finished that off. I think they should be a little bit embarrassed, but that's another talk for another day. So you start off Game 4 and you expect there to be there's going to be a push by the Florida Panthers. Like the Florida Panthers are going to be coming in, and I know the shots were 10-2, and I know the Florida Panthers took the early push and they were better early, but the Oilers survived it. And the same thing that has been happening to this Edmonton Oilers team happened again. They take penalties. And Kane and Nurse both take penalties that lead to the first goal. If they can avoid those penalties, I thought Skinner was great. He made a couple of really big saves in that first 10 minutes. I think they were just trying to find their legs after what they had went through in Game 3. So I think it's the penalties for the Edmonton Oilers that turn the tide of this game. And they're going to have to, if they want to win the Stanley Cup, and I still believe that they can, and they showed the ability last night to come back. If they want to do that, they have to stop. We've said it every freaking game. Stop taking penalties. And it's stick follows that you can avoid. And I think that was the turning point of this game early, is people going to the penalty box.
Okay, Petey, 5 high-sticking penalties this series for the Oilers, 3 of which have led to goals, 3 of which have been from a guy called Evander Kane. And we saw Troy Stecher benched last night. He played 4:18, played in the first period, had the turnover on the third goal, but we saw that there was a missed call there. He played 1 shift in the second period and then did not play the rest of the night. So everything that we talked about the Oilers they did with 5 defensemen. So I don't know how many guys right now, Kris Knoblauch, especially after a win, is saying, I'm taking this guy out of the lineup. But do you look at Evander Kane at this point and say, it is a damn guarantee he is going to take a high sticking penalty?
Yeah, without a doubt, he's going to. And Perry's going to take one down in the offensive zone by the net. I'll book it. Go to your apps and book that. But you can't, because that's an element of the game that the Edmonton Oilers need, because they don't have it throughout their lineup, and the Florida Panthers do. So if you want to combat that walking the fine line, that edge of the game, you got to have Kane and Perry in the lineup. And you can't sacrifice one thing for the other. I agree. Like, if this is game 65 and you're playing Columbus on a Tuesday, you know what, Kane, it's enough. Like, uncle, you're going to sit out a game because we can't afford that to turn the tide of a game again. You can't do it now. I mean, this is the team you are, and this is what you're going to have to compete against, because Kane can end up being the guy that helps you get the game-winning goal late in the third period. He has that ability. So I don't think you're going to see those lineup changes. And by the way, I'm a huge Stecher fan. I think Stecher does a lot of things well, and I think he moves the puck well, and he's good enough on his feet to get out of trouble. And I feel bad on that goal. You go back and watch that goal. The puck bounces on his stick. stick. That should be a reverse up the wall, and they're out of the zone. It's just unfortunate. Then he gets the stick in the face, and he doesn't see much ice. So big Stetcher fan. Hope to see him back on the ice.
So you thought that was a bad bounce because like
100%.
It looked like he was just so soft on the puck and he was afraid he was going to get hit. No,
and again, no, because you can watch Inside the Coach's Room and subscribe. But the puck's rolling. It's on edge as it comes around the corner. He's just trying to do a simple reverse to his D partner. The puck literally bounces the second he swipes at the puck with his stick, and that's what allows it to stay where it was for Verhaeghe. He's not bailing on that play. He doesn't mishandle the puck. It just bounces on him. And it's unfortunate for him because I think he makes the right play. He pulls the defender Verhaeghe with him behind the net, which allows more open space in behind him for his partner, and he reverses the puck along the wall. I mean, it's the right play. It's a bad bounce, and it's hard along that those rims along the lower part of the boards. That's where all the ice collects, all the snow collects during the game because everybody's stopping in that area of the ice. So it happens, and it rolled up on him at the really wrong time. So sorry for Stetch on that one.
So sorry to hog all this. I swear Pete's going to talk to you to decide. Do you think that that's factoring into, because 8 of these 9 goals, someone texted me who was at the game last night and was like, were all of the goals scored on the same net? And I was like, fuck, everything except for the game tying goal by Reinhart, they were all scored on the same net. So like that area behind that net, you say that all the snow collects there. Does that factor in to whatever the Christ happened on the Reinhart, or I'm sorry. Oh, so I guess it would be the other side. But like behind the net where Pickard doesn't get much on it, and then Kulak, should he just throw it back to Bouchard there? Or
it's a hard spot along that wall, and I don't think Pickard gets all of what he wants, and Kulak's in trouble, and Kulak just has to move the puck. The truth is that particular play, that's a really good wall play by the Florida Panthers. The one thing that the Edmonton Oilers forwards have not done this entire series is come back low in the zone to help out on those wall battles. They end up, the Florida Panther forward is going to be inside the Edmonton Oiler forward. The Edmonton Oiler forward is higher up by the defenseman. And so you're often seeing that they've turned the puck over in that area of the ice consistently throughout this on their breakouts because Florida's down low at the hash marks and the Edmonton forward is up by the blue line. And that's an adjustment I'd like to see Knoblauch make. I'd like to see his forward pull down and get in that battle. But that's what happened. There was a really good play on the wall by the Florida Panthers. I think it was a Reinhart that made that play on the wall.
It was Verhaeghe on Draisaitl of all people. So you're saying there, Draisaitl's
got to be on the inside. Lower? He's got to win that battle. Yeah, he's got to be on the inside of that battle. And he's got to win that wall battle. And I thought that this entire series, I think that ice has been hard fought, and the tide has always turned on who's ever winning that battle on the wall in the Edmonton Oilers defensive zone. If the Oilers are winning it, they're getting their transition game going. If the Florida Panthers are getting it, that wall battle at the hash marks, then they're getting offensive zone time and more opportunities at the net.
Kris Knoblauch's going to have some really interesting lineup decisions to make, and he's been very good at pushing the right buttons in this entire playoff run, including last night, taking Skinner out, putting Pickard in. Which goalie do you go with for Game 5?
It's funny. We were at the video nerds were all at a dinner watching this, and when they made the change, a lot of guys said, gosh, you should have gone with Pickard to start this game. Because now if he struggles, you go back to Skinner and he's your savior and you can go that direction. Now you're in a tough spot. My personal opinion, I don't think there's a choice. I think Pickard is 7-0. I thought he made great saves immediately after taking the net last night. I think his team had found some feet and they saw some speed and they played different. The reality is that you play different in front of different goalies. You do. Calvin Pickard is extremely well liked in the room. He's a phenomenal teammate and a great person, and guys want to play well in front of him, and it showed. I don't think there's a choice. I think it's Calvin Pickard, and I think you have to give Calvin Pickard an opportunity at home. He was really, really good. He made some great saves last night, so I think it's Pickard.
Yeah, I wouldn't be offended if they went with Skinner. I wouldn't think that it was the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. I just think that Pickard earned a shot in Game 5 based off of the way that he played. And I also think that Skinner has shown time and time again, both goalies have shown time and time again, that they will be ready if they need to come in. And Pickard was ready last night. I truly do believe that Stuart Skinner will be prepared if the net turns back over to Pickard. DJ had some reservations about Skinner's ability to come in later in the series.
Yeah, so this is where, and I'm doing some light devil's advocate here because I'm sticking with Pickard too. But if you go to Stu in Game 5, which would be controversial, and I think you're rocking the boat of your room, so that's why I wouldn't do that. But if you go to Stu in Game 5 and he struggles and or the team loses and you need a last gasp like Hail Mary, you go to Calvin Pickard on the road, and this is not new to him at all. He has had to come in throughout this postseason, sub in, and with the exception of the King series where it took him a while to get going, he's been able to just come in like last night and be steady and even great at points. If you go with Calvin Pickard in Game 5 and lose, you are then going back to Stu on the road in a building where he has been chased in back-to-back games, and those are the 2 most recent games he's played because you have benched him and told him you're not our guy. I think that is a much tougher hole to climb out of. So that would be my logic if I were to go with Stu in Game 5. But I think that you just have to say you're 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. And that's not a goalie thing. That is a team-wide thing. Who do you play the best in front of? When have you done your best recently? And that's been in front of Calvin Pickard. So stick with Pickard.
But and one thing I do got to see, DJ, impressive thought process there, because that's exactly what happens in a coach's room. And it's not just the first 5 minutes of Game 5. It's play this scenario out. What happens if? What happens if? And I think for the Edmonton Oilers right now coming home, I think the Edmonton Oilers play outstanding in front of their home fans. I think right now they've got that belief, and belief goes a long way in this short series. It's 2 out of 3. You guys mentioned it's 2 out of 3. If they can get a strong 10 minutes in the first period where the crowd's into it and their feet are moving and they get 1 save, I think they can win Game 5. And now you're looking at, you got to win 1 or 2. So I agree with you. I do think that devil's advocate, you look at the negative outcome that could happen. You're probably right. But because they're playing at home, and because I think they are going to get a boost in front of the home crowd. And I do think right now that the wave is riding a little orange right now. And they're getting a little bit of more confidence. I think Pickard, if he starts off well in that first period, they get the first goal. If they're tied or even, tied or better after 1, look out. Like Edmonton Oilers could be one win away from the Stanley Cup. So I throw my vote into the coach's room every time we have to make a decision like that. My vote didn't count, but I did it anyway. I'm going Pickard because I think right now you need that jump. You need that belief. You need that energy that you carried over from the end of Game 4. I think you need to carry into Game 5. So if I had a vote in the room, I would be putting my hat in the ring for Calvin Pickard.
Our big thing during the Stanley Cup Final is no takeaways game to game, because we've seen such swings. We've seen emotional roller coasters. What have you gained on the aggregate in this series through 4 games from either side, Florida or Edmonton?
The funny thing is both of these teams are doing what they do, and they're doing it well. And I think that's why where we are. I think that's why it is 2-2, because it's the fringe things. And right now, special teams have played the biggest part of this series. I looked at the neutral zone in this series. I thought was going to be a big part of it. Can Florida defend the speed of the Edmonton Oilers and make adjustments to stop some of the speed of Draisaitl and McDavid through the neutral zone? And I think they've done that. Florida's been really good through the neutral zone, and they've shows on the scoreboard. McDavid with no goals through the series. I think that's part of the way they've been more passive, and they've backed off of people and instead of attacking and getting in behind them. So I think they've done a great job there. And for the Edmonton Oilers, it's been their ability to defend. And I know you gave up the Bennett goal in the net front early in Game 1, but over this span of 4 games, their ability to defend and defend in front of their goaltender has been very good. And it's something I didn't think they were going to be able to do in this series. So it's the things they're doing well. And it all has come down to the differences in the special teams. The penalties have swung this series. It clearly did in Game 3. And you can go check in and what you think about the refereeing in that game. But the same thing happened in Game 4. The momentum starts off in Florida. Why? Because of the 5-on-3. And that's where everything shifted. And then for the Edmonton Oilers, it's a penalty by Bennett slashing on a back check, trying to catch up to Bouchard. And now the Edmonton Oilers get their confidence, get their power play out. So for me, it's the special teams have had a huge effect on this series. And it's that team that could walk the line of being physical, being strong, being on edge, but not sitting in the penalty box. That's the team that's going to get the leg up in Game 5.
Why do you think Connor McDavid has scored 0 goals in this series?
It's funny when you go back and look at some of the things we talked about, and you mentioned it earlier in the show about staying above Connor McDavid. Florida Panthers, I didn't think did that in game one. I thought they gave him too many chances. And again, he's going to get scoring chances. He had two fantastic scoring chances last night. Bobrovsky came up the better of him. But you look at how close Florida's defending McDavid from blue line to blue line, and it has been a difference maker. He's not getting those like he did against Eichel, where he had 20 feet of runway to leave Eichel standing still. He's not getting that in this Florida series. They're not giving him that time and space. So what does McDavid do? He does what McDavid does. He distributes the puck, and he makes somebody else better and makes a really good play. And him not having any goals, I don't think it's a shocking thing. And I think he can go this entire series and they can win a Stanley Cup without Connor McDavid winning a goal. They're scoring a goal. They can't win a series without Connor McDavid being on the offensive score sheet. And he has been able to do that. And he distributes the puck so well. Even the power play goal, just a little play along the wall, getting the puck down low before it goes to Draisaitl. That's a really good play because it pulls the penalty killers to him. Those are the things McDavid does when he can't find his way onto the score sheet and behind the goaltender in the net.
Okay,
the Conn Smythe voting is possibly the most volatile market in all of sports. Like, where do you stand on that through 4 games right now?
What do you do? Like, and jokingly, kidding, I said last night when Pickard went in and he starts to sway, I said, it's Calvin Pickard. He's 7-0. He's got the best goaltending record since Grant Fuhr. But in jest, I don't know. Because last year it was so Connor McDavid. Like, it was absolutely Connor McDavid. Bennett has been the player, I think, for Florida that's really swung the tide offensively and been the pest that has helped this team be who they are through this third round. But you think if the Florida Panthers are somehow able to hold on and win this series, it's going to have to be with Bobrovsky. And he hasn't been exceptional. He was good, great saves, but he hasn't been the guy. He's given up 5 goals. He's given up 4 or more in 3 of them. So is that Conn Smythe worthy? Skinner? No, clearly not. Is it Draisaitl? This is as wide open as I've ever seen it. I don't know. They're all of those names can get thrown out, but I don't know who it is. Tkachuk was invisible, and I know it's partly because of injuries. And I said it before the game that, gosh, he hasn't done anything, and then he gets 2 goals. So I'm not sure if there's somebody running away with it right now. Do you guys have your guy?
I mean, if Edmonton wins, I'm projecting that things are happening that lead Edmonton to win. So if Edmonton wins, I think it's going to be McDavid because McDavid's going to do something. But what if Draisaitl scores a couple more the rest of the way? Then it's probably going to be Draisaitl because he had all these big heroics. It's definitely not going to be one of the goalies.
I think the easiest thing to say is that,
Bouchard maybe, even though is still in the mix.
I think the easiest thing to say is that the award is still to be won.
Yes, agreed. It's who can do it in this best 2 out of 3. And I think isn't that unusual though? Like we were talking about McDavid last year before the finals even started. Like that's how somebody's usually emerged as the guy. And through the first round it was Rantanen, and right now this is again it's the razor thin margins between these two teams that it's just one play, it's one guy, it's one mistake, and so I don't see anybody carrying the load right now for either team.
Okay, Pete talked about Knoblauch pushing the right buttons. Third line talk is not sexy unless it involves Jeff Skinner. Did the Oilers find something with that Henrique between Skinner and Frederic line? Because it leads to a goal. It leads to the Nurse goal in the second period. And Skinner was like dogged on that play. And they almost end it in overtime on the Frederic hit post. How much better was that third line to you? And I mean, obviously, I think Jeff Skinner stays in, but were you impressed by that line? Because it looked like it was maybe Edmonton's best.
And I think that's where the margins are going to be in these last 3 games. I think they're going to be in the bottom 6 forwards. And I know it's not sexy and it's not what people want to talk about, but the one wall battles there, Frederic, Henrique, and Skinner, even Skinner, getting dirty and winning those wall battles.
Skinner.
Hey,
I
buddy,
don't like the stink on that.
I know I was talking about how high skilled he is and how he gets pucks to the net, but his that work ethic of that line, I think when you put that line on the ice, you don't have fear defensively. And when you get in the bottom 6 lineup of your lineup, you're always fearful of giving up a goal. And we'll get into that overtime winner when you've got Gadjevich trying. By the way, that's a horrific change. We'll talk about that later. But you get a 4th line jumping on in the overtime and you struggle. So it's going to be that bottom 6 that's going to be the ability to make the difference in the series. You just got to survive. And that line, you've got the ability to play any way you want to. You can get on pucks quickly because I think you can forecheck with that line. I think you can win wall battles with the line. I think you can back check really well. And I think they're smart enough and responsible enough to defend. So that third line, you can put them out in any situation, and the coach can go like, hey, we're going to be okay with these guys. They're experienced, they're veteran players. They got a little bit of grit if we need that, but they also have some skill if we need that. So as a coach, you want that in your bottom six, that there's no fear. It's not like holding on for dear life for 45 seconds. So I do think the addition of Skinner, I anticipate Skinner will be back in the lineup in game 5. I don't know why he wouldn't be, but I think this line, these are one of the things that this line could be a difference maker in game 5 and in the series.
Jeff Skinner, Conn Smythe. You heard it here first.
There it is.
Yes. Love it. PD, you're amazing. We're going to talk to you more throughout the series, I'm sure. Do you think we have 3 more games, or we're stupid for thinking we know anything about this series?
I do. I think it's 7. I thought it was 7 all along. And then last night through the first period, I said, shoot, this is going to be over in a couple of days. And clearly I was wrong again. And I think that's why it's going to be 7. I think somewhere we're all the prognosticators and media are saying it's 7, and the players have heard 7 games since the series started. And I think they're all preparing for 7. And you can't count either team out. Florida's 19 seconds away last night from being out of this one in regulation, and they found a way. I believe both teams feel that. And I don't think either team feels they're out of any game. When you have that, then there's always a chance to push this thing along. I do think it's going to go 7. The big decision, again, to force that hand for the Edmonton Oilers is what they do in net. And can Calvin Pickard survive it if he is the game 5 starter? And he has played above his expectations and above his weight class the entire series and in the entire playoffs. And again, no offense to Pickard, but if he goes back to his normal statistics and what he does normally, then Edmonton could be in trouble over the next 48 hours.
I mean, whether it's Skinner or Pickard, if the Oilers win the cup, are they going to have the worst cup-winning goalie in decades?
Yeah, I always said this. I think the Edmonton Oilers are a good enough team offensively to have a good goalie. And good usually Florida needed a great goalie. Florida's going to win this. He needs to be great because of how aggressive they are. They give opportunities. But I agree. I mean, Darcy Kemper needed to be good for the Colorado Avalanche. Antti Niemi for Chicago needed to be good. There are instances where goalies need to be good. And then Jonathan Quick needs to be great. I do think this is I don't know if it's the worst is a bit of a stretch because I think Skinner has been good. And I think Pickard's been good throughout the playoffs. But they can win with just good and just average, which shows a big credit to how well this team is built.
They'll be in the conversation.
Yep, without a doubt.
Most underwhelming, most forgettable.
No, see, that's the thing. I couldn't say underwhelming or forgettable because one of their goalies was unbelievable. No? Back-to-back shutouts?
Yeah,
Every time they lost a game,
Skinner's
you would allow max 2 goals the next 3 games?
Yeah, go watch LA again. I don't know. He's an up and down guy. When he's good, he's good. We said that about Skinner all season. His regular season was exactly the same. When he was bad, he was bad. But when he is good and he finds his way, I said this on your show that if the Edmonton Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup, they're going to have to find a way to get Stu Skinner back in the net, and they did that. Like they had to find a way to get him back in the net because I did think they were going to have to go with Skinner to win it all, and he got back in the net and he was great. I don't even think if you go to last night's game, he wasn't bad. And I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to hear Coach Knoblauch after the game, and I was waiting for the comparisons to DeBoer and the Stu was sucked. That's the difference. No, we needed a change. We needed. They didn't Stu's fault. That's, by the way, that's how you handle that kind of a press conference. But this wasn't Stu's fault. I don't know what he's going to do on those. Like this isn't one where he pushed off in game 3 and he pushed off and he was at the blue line when Marchand throws that one in. I don't know how he sees the first one. My point is I don't think he played poorly, but I do think that pull gave the team life. I don't think Skinner was bad in that game, but he just wasn't great. And again, I think you'll see the net again. I don't think we've seen the last of Stu Skinner in this series.
And I'm being a Stu defender here, just because when someone goes too far one way, I just need to try to, or when the conversation goes too far one way, I just need to pull it back a little. Skinner only played 1 period last night, and he made as many game-saving stops as Calvin Pickard did the rest of the game.
Agreed.
That furthers the point that the Oilers play better in front of Calvin Pickard than they do in front of Stuart Skinner. So if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, what are you doing? Go with the guy that only needs to make like 1 big save every couple of periods versus the guy that needed to make 2 massive saves in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Really quick though, but to bring that up because the guy that they play harder for is most often the backup because he's their buddy, he's your pal, he's the guy that stays out later, he's the guy that takes headshots, he's the guy that takes one-timers from the dot, and hey, you're our buddy and your pal. It's most often not the guy that, oh my god, he's our guy. Like in Arizona, it was the guy that, hey, we're going to play harder for. It's the backup. Hey, look, he's our buddy, he's our pal. Doesn't mean he's the better goalie. It just means we're going to. And so when we got to win 2 out of 3. I don't know how I'm the good buddy. Hey, you're our pal, and how hard we work is going to get you the cup. I don't know. It's such a short runway and a short window right now. Maybe it's enough. Maybe it is. But the better goalie is Stuart Skinner. He is. And at his size and his ability and his skill level, when they are both playing at their best, Stuart Skinner is better than Calvin Pickard. And that's just reality. It's statistics. It's the way they play. He is better. But this is such a short window. You might be able to win it with just a little bit of momentum and a little bit of belief. So maybe that is the difference.
That's how I lean too. We'll see how Knoblauch leans. I mean, he said he's not naming the starter. He's gonna go Pickard in game 5.
Yeah.
I would think.
I think he kind of has to. He's putting himself in the firing line if he doesn't.
Exactly. And the goal isn't, we talked about this last night, like the goal isn't to stay out of the firing line. It's to win the cup. But you're really in the firing line if it doesn't work out and you go to Skinner. But we'll talk more with you, Petey. You're the best. Can we say what you're doing? Can we say what
I tell you what, today, if you want to talk about these goals, and by the way, I have thoughts on that slashing penalty on Bennett and people that are complaining that he's not getting calls. Dude, shouldn't have been a slash that gets the first power play goal for the Edmonton Oilers. So we're going to look at a deep dive on all the goals from game 4. We'll be out shortly today on Inside the Coach's Room.
You said it shouldn't have been a slash?
Yeah, it wasn't a slash. It was a one-handed tap on the stick. He didn't even hit his hand. Horrible call. Who called it? Who called it? The guy that's 2 zones away. The guy that was 5 feet in front of him doesn't make the call.
Let me see if I can find my tweets from last night. I said it on this stream at intermission, and I tweeted, let's see, the silver lining is the Oilers are going on the power play twice in the first 10 minutes of the second period. Get the power play goal going, make this a game. They were always getting those were makeup calls. Those were makeup calls that were badly needed because the high stick was missed on Verhaeghe on what should have been Lundell touching up, but instead the touch up goes in the net.
See,
so makeup.
It's the hockey gods. Hockey gods even it up.
Okay.
Right. Well, but that's coming out later today. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the game and what to watch for game 5, stay tuned. Subscribe.
We all silly like the mayor.